Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Thursday, the 31st day of August, 2023. I currently have no internet, apparently there's an outage in our area. It seems to maybe correspond with the power outage we had. The power went off about 8:15 last night, and I'm not sure when it came back on. It seemed like it was 11 or after 11. I'm not sure, but we finally it finally came back on, but then the internet was off, so I'm like, oh great. So I was hoping that resetting it, the little box, would make things better, but it did not. And so I called this morning, and we do have an outage here, so I would expect that it will come on here before too long. Excuse me, but you don't know. So I may try to upload this with my phone, but I don't know if how well that will work, because I don't get that great of service here at my house, especially inside my house. So we'll see. I'll probably just wait. So if this gets posted a little later than usual, that's why. So let's go ahead though, and if I can do this with my phone, I'm going to keep this short here today. And let's go ahead and take the rune to start us out from the Elder Futhark bag, the As Above side of things. Let's see, am I pulling things out here? Okay, there we go. All right, we have Hagalaz. We need a little witchcraft today. This is known as the Witch Rune. This is transformation within a fixed framework. Basically, Hagalaz is one of the three Norn runes, so I consider it a little bit more powerful than the other runes are, although I feel like they're all powerful. Well, hang on, I just threw it on the ground. Okay, here we go. I haven't done that in a while. Usually it's a card that'll escape and falls somewhere, but this time I dropped the rune. Well, anyway, so it looks like the letter H, kind of a skewed letter H. But anyway, it's one of the three Norn runes. It's considered the Norn rune of the past. So it's basically trying to transform something that's been going on into something better. And realistically, it could cover anything, any type of transformation that you're thinking about, or that's things that are. It's like, I want my internet back on, so invoke Hagalaz. But let's take a look at the Geomancy rune and get the below side of things. Let's see, a single dot for fire, 2 for water, 2 for, oh, well, Karser. Now, Karser is considered an evil rune, and I mean, I guess I can understand why I don't like to think of them in those terms, realistically. But Karser, it looks like a little bird cage. Let me find it here. There we go. It looks like a little container. You can think of Karser as imprisonment, self-imprisonment, generally speaking, is how I interpret it. So if you're looking at Hagalaz and also Karser, we could be today having issues of getting in the way of ourselves, not really being able to move outside of existing perceptions, maybe. And so there needs to be some transformation from higher awareness to step outside that comfort zone that we've put ourselves in. Belief systems can be very powerful, and sometimes we get off onto a path that is just not workable, and nothing you do seems to come out right, or what have you. You start to see the fruits of all of that at some point, where you're really not in a good place with Karser. And Karser can also mean bringing something to an end as well. So similar kinds of energies with Hagalaz and Karser, but not, with Hagalaz, what we want to do is we want to have that ability to relook at how we see things and how we're getting in the way of our own success, or how we're getting in the way of maybe relationships that we have with others, anything that we seem to be self-imprisoning about. One card in the tarot that might relate in some fashion, and that's maybe an intentional cursor, is the Eight of Swords, where the woman's bound and blindfolded. It was surrounded by eight swords, and she's getting out away from the noise around her. She's getting away from the noise of her own thoughts, and she's going within to find a better solution, to make a different decision about what she needs to do, and she wants to do it without all that influence. And so, in a way, Hagalaz and Karser are kind of like that. But again, if we need to, I really think that what this is talking about, though, is just you're getting in the way of yourself, and you can't really move forward, and you need something to create that shift. And the Hagalaz energies will do that, the shift that will take you outside whatever, perceptions you're being bound by. So often we want to blame everything else under the sun other than our own choices for the things that are going on with us. And ideally, unless it's obvious that it's an external source, the best place to go first is within and figure out, well, what am I doing to contribute to my own issues today? And am I the one that's getting in the way? Am I being, hesitant to cooperate with other people? And again, maybe there's a good reason for that. And maybe it is outside influences that are keeping us from moving in one direction or another. But generally speaking, all of this, whether it's tarot or runes or any kind of divination method, if everything is a projection of our own consciousness, if everything reflects our view of things, then it would just seem to me that we have to look within first. So, and see what are we doing to create the scenario that we're experiencing, and how self-restrictive with Karser are we being. So anyway, let's go ahead and take 3 cards. I'll cut the deck, take the lower half. Well, yeah, I think that the whole idea of self-imprisonment here might be getting in the way of ourselves. Maybe there's a couple of ways to read one of these cards, and I'll tell you about all of it. But I think maybe, in fact, it could be that we're getting in the way of ourselves. Here we have 2 cards that are 4s. One's from the suit of cups, one's from the suit of pentacles. So that's interesting. So we're going to emphasize 4. And then we have the sun, which is the 19th card of the major arcana. That's going to be ultimately a 1 numerology. So new beginnings and talent and leadership and awakening and all of that stuff with the number 1. But we have 4 and 4 is 8. It's kind of interesting. And then 1 is 9. So although you have new beginnings and the light returning and all that with the sun, in a sense, there's a feeling of something's coming to an end with the 9 numerology for all the cards here. If you add, let's see, what is Hagalaz? It's also the 9th rune. So again, 9 and 9 is 18, which reduces to 9. So something is coming to an end. Some kind of feeling of self-imposed restriction is coming to an end, where you're willing to step outside your comfort zone and transform yourself. Your own perceptions, your own the way you see things. Maybe in a different way. Maybe you've realized some truth about a certain circumstance, and you realize maybe you've been on the wrong path. You could say it that way. So lots of ways to see this. But let's go ahead and start with the 4 of cups here. Here we see, like with the ace cards, you see a hand reaching out from the clouds, this time holding a chalice. A man is sitting there cross-legged and crossed-armed, with his arms crossed, his back against an oak tree for stabilization and strength. There are 3 other cups sitting on the ground in front of him, but it looks like he's looking at the ground. like the ground right in front of him, and he doesn't really see the cups here, and he's certainly not seeing the one that's being offered. To me, this looks like uh, kind of like a pity party, but where the four is really about hard work, order, coordination. It's about structure. It's about grounding. How grounded is he? He's trying to be. He's trying to ground his emotions against the tree, but I think that he's in a very defensive posture, and so he doesn't see what's being offered. He doesn't see what he has emotionally. So it's like it's a card of I'm being emotionally stuck in a way, and that's one way to see this. But at the same time, he doesn't seem to draw from anything. He's not drawing from the cups in front of him or from the cup that's being offered. Some kind of new emotional awareness, how to see this differently. Again, he's got himself in his own carcer experience where he can't step outside that, and he's just stuck right there. Moving on to the Four of Pentacles, you have the king sitting out front. You see the dual line of demarcation here. So you have the kingdom on one side of the lines and where he's sitting on the other. So he's out away from the kingdom. He's got a foot on a large coin. Each foot has its own large coin it's stepping on. He's got one he's displaying on top of his crown, and he's got one here that he's holding fast to himself. Now, this could be about hanging on to resources because you need them, maybe a little more conservative approach to spending money. It could also be miserliness. But the idea that I'm hanging on, that's going to be part of Carcer's energy. I'm hanging on to something that, and again, it's foundational, it's structural. It's that kind of like that Taurus energy, where my mother was a Taurus, and even though she could spend money, she could do whatever, it had to be more practical. So whenever she'd do something completely outside her whole thing, I'd be like, what are you doing? Because it would be so out of character for her. You could pretty well, she was the one that paid the bills, and she worked as well. And then when my parents got divorced, we lived with her, and so she was the practical one. She had to be. And it could be that there may be some practicality here as well, but if you're going to look at it in conjunction with this, where you're emotionally stuck in something, you could be stuck here too, where you've got these resources, but you're afraid to maybe use them. You're afraid to step outside your comfort zone and do that, to take that risk. Now, again, in other types of readings, this could be that these are the resources I have for my kingdom. And I'm being conservative about how we spend them so that we have enough to get by. And so, I mean, this doesn't have to be a negative card, but sometimes you read it as miserliness. And so but if we look at miserliness, and again, money is certainly part of Pentacles, obviously, but it's also about inner resources as well. So if you look at that then from an inner state here with both four cards, you've got some issues of I don't want to move outside of my comfort zone here, either emotionally or practically. I'm going to find all kinds of excuses for that, but something needs to give today. And Hagalaz is suggesting that, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's why we have the idea of transformation within a fixed framework. That means that you're going to do some tweaking, but it might be significant. It could be very significant, especially if you're willing to look at the belief systems you have about how you feel emotionally about things and how you feel practically about things. What risks you're willing to take. The four is an emotional risk, the Four of Cups, but the other one now could be the one that's really keeping you from letting. Either one of them could be the dominant feeling here, but because emotionally it might be fear that keeps you back from taking a risk, from transforming things in a way that could actually bring you a better outcome than what you're experiencing right now. But there's a feeling of stuckness here that you can't get out of. The answer, of course, is to transform, and I would associate Hagalaz with the sun here in this case, where you see the child on the back of the white horse, you see the red flag waving in the wind, you see the stone wall behind they're made of blocks, but the wall behind, you see the sunflowers fully in bloom. Most of mine are I've got a few that are in bloom right now, but some of them are still heading up and they're going to bloom. But which is kind of late. I'm surprised that it's taking this long, but whatever. But anyway, you see that growth and vitality, and you see the sun extending its rays all over the place, lighting the whole experience. The sun is about happiness and fulfillment. It's about the self, about clarity. Think of it as your sun sign, what that all means, not the specific sign itself and the meaning of it, but the idea of the sun sign in astrology, where it's really about who the person is and how they navigate the world. And then, of course, the sign is going to influence how that happens. But you're talking about success, reunion, the light returning, awakening. And so with Hagalaz, perhaps you awaken to some truth about yourself, that maybe you're staying too stuck in one thing or another, emotionally or practically. And they tend to reinforce one another. Cups and pentacles reflect the water element and the earth element, respectively, and they're both passive or receptive energies, whereas air and fire are active or projective. These are receptive ones, and so you don't necessarily move forward in a way that an air or fire energy would move. So swords, and if we had swords and we had wands, then there could be some movement there, but the transformation really is higher self-oriented with Hagalaz today, I think. It's not going to be coming from the fire or air elements, other than what you get here with the sun. Here, definitely the fire element is in play. A little bit of air too, since you're seeing the movement of the flag here. But that's what it's going to take to move outside your comfort zone. You could look at that. You could look at water and earth as part of that comfort zone, where maybe you're not so willing to step outside of it, especially if you've got this one reinforcing this one. You see what I'm saying? It's just too much that's going to keep you right there. And the problem is, with Carcer, it's suggesting that that's a level of self-imprisonment that doesn't have to happen. That's really more self-imposed, and you really can step outside your comfort zone and do something else. Take that risk to do something different. Think a different way. Take a different path. Move in a different direction than what Carcer would suggest that you've been doing for a while. So, again, I think that you have the idea of the one numerology here with new beginnings, but you're looking at the end of something with the 9. Endings, completion is 9 can also mean spirituality and generosity, the messenger, all of that. We're still dealing with smoke in the area here, but I think that how we keep ourselves, we talk ourselves into, with a negative self-talk, like I can't do that. I can't experience that. I can't decide that. It's all the I can't. And the fact is the sun is suggesting, well, sure you can. You just have to awaken to a new perspective on it, and maybe just enough to give you a little bit of a wiggle room to step outside the Carcer experience and the self-imposed restrictions and transform into something better, better emotionally, better practically, and than what the 4s here are suggesting. 4 can also be about letting things come to a rest, the way the 7 is. And when you look at, say, the 4 of Swords, you're letting your thoughts settle, you're letting your thoughts come to a rest, and so that you can see things differently. So there's that type of experience as well, or feeling with the 4 as well. But at the same time, with Carcer, it's suggesting that it's too much, and you're not allowing yourself to to consider other possibilities. You're just kind of stuck in that little bubble, and you can't, and it's not working, or there's something about it that isn't real or isn't right or isn't based in truth, and like a misperception of some kind, maybe. Maybe you're listening to other influences, and they're influencing you in a way that's not healthy. And so it could be something like that. But the idea is to step outside of all of that, awaken to a new day, essentially, a new way of seeing things, and let that transform your experiences today. So, and over the next few days. So anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and end there. I think we did it. How far are we on this? Yeah, we're at 20 minutes, so that's good. Again, if this is late, it's just I'm waiting for the internet to come up, and if I can try to do this with my phone, I will. Otherwise, I'm just going to wait. So until I don't have any choice. And so anyway, thanks for watching, and come back again. If you haven't yet clicked subscribe, I hope you'll do that, and come back again and join me again on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do one, even though it's Labor Day. I think I'm going to go ahead. I'll be up early and I'll do one real quick, and just so we stay on track. So anyway, thanks for watching, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.